welcome back for another video. Is it possible to literally lose FPL? Like every year, we all dream of coming first, right, to win the whole thing, but what about losing, coming last in the entire world? Well, there's one man that's made it his mission to lose FPL, Sam Brooks. So last season, to give you some context, I had the idea to look up who's last in the FPL leaderboards, and I've got it written down here on page number 228,387 on minus 2,812 points. Dead last in the world, it's Sam Brooks. So we'll have a look at his team in a second. I've got so many questions, Sam. Welcome to the channel, first of all. How are you, and can you tell us a bit about your background in FPL?
Yeah, sure. So thanks very much for having me on the channel. I'm all good, thank you. So a bit about my background in FPL then. I've been playing for years and years. I've done a bit of a draft as well. And to be honest, this probably won't be popular with the channel, but I'd got a bit bored of mainstream FPL. I found that like by week 5, everyone pretty much had like the same 7 or 8 players and stuff. So a few
Yeah.
years ago, I decided to try and mix it up, and I started doing different themes for my teams. So the first one I did was called the Communist Manifesto, and it was only players from former Soviet states and communist
Okay,
countries.
yeah.
And then season before last, I did is called Big Sam's Brexit 11, and it was only English players.
Right.
And like I did super well. I finished like top 3 in my massive work league because like Palmer, Watkins, Foden, that were
Ah,
playing
yeah.
really, really well. So I was doing all of these themes, and then last season I just thought, why not try and lose? That can be my theme.
Yeah,
That can be my theme for the year. And I did some
yeah,
research and I found FPL articles from previous years about people that had tried to come last, but they'd always scored a point here and there.
yeah.
And I wanted to see if it was possible to get the perfect negative score. So can I make the max number of subs every week to incur the biggest negative penalty whilst ensuring that none of my players ever get on the pitch.
You know,
So that was my goal for this year to
yeah.
finish last ever, be the last ever player in FPL to ever score.
You know,
And thank God I achieved it because it was a lot of work.
I'm glad like you're brutally honest as well about how you feel about FPL, because it kind of sets the tone for this video. Because it's not going to be like, I've done lots of videos where I've had guests on the channel and we're all talking about our team. We think it's the best team, but you've taken like the complete opposite approach. And the other thing is, there's this thing called anti-FPL. I don't know if you know about it, but their idea is to score the least points possible. But they've got really strict rules, so you can't take hits. Those gift you points instead. So it's different to what you've done. You're kind of playing your own game. So I've got your team here from Game Week 1 last season. I was telling Sam just before we hit record, I've had this planned for months. I took so many screenshots of like his team transfers and stuff. So you had players like Emerson, Brian Kill, I think that is, DRP, like Gross, Undav, Alvarez. So are you intentionally just looking for players like that are injured or have already left the club? Like how do you do it?
Great question. So, there's quite a lot of research that goes into making sure that nobody ever gets on the pitch, and there's a couple of ways that you can do it. So one way is to transfer them into your team right before they're removed from the database. So what I
Right.
do is I turn on notifications on Fabrizio Romano so I can bring in players as soon as you get there, here we go. So I will
Yeah.
like see it on my phone, I'll bring them in, and then like an hour later they'll be removed from the database. And that
Yeah.
meant that loads of my players were like Lukaku, Julian Alvarez, Scott McTominay. I got to refresh my squad in January as well. And then the other way
Yeah.
is players being injured. So like other players, when one of their big players gets like an ACL or something, that's devastating for them. For me, that's perfect. Like long-term injuries
Yeah.
are great. And it means that I was doing loads of research into injuries and return dates because you can't always trust the FPL ones. So
Yeah,
there
of
was one
course.
week where I even called up a mate who's a doctor in Leicester to find out when the Leicester keeper would be back from injury so I could be
Yeah.
sure that he would be in the match day squad. And
Right.
crazily enough, that player, I think I can't pronounce his surname, he's like a Polish keeper at Leicester, Jakub something.
Stolicic, no.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Um, the guy who finished second last got 1 point all
You're
season, and
joking.
it was from
Oh.
him coming back early. So yeah, like there's a lot of research. One way is transferring them out just before they leave the database, and the other way is making sure that they're injured and they don't get on.
So I was going to ask you about that. This person also tried to do what you're doing, and when I made this little short on TikTok last season about you, it properly went viral, and there's quite a lot of comments saying like they were going to have a go at this as well and try and beat you. Are you worried at all? There's like going to be enough people that try this that will try and find a negative point somewhere, right? Because you make them at the maximum possible allowed transfers, right? So what? How many is that? How many transfers is that? 20, is it?
20 a week.
20 weeks.
And typically most of my squad I don't want to touch because they're off the
Yeah.
database. So if I transfer them out, I
Right.
won't get them back. So
So you're going
typically
back
I'll
and
have like
forth with one player.
14. Exactly, yeah. So like back and forth with one or two players. I think I made almost 1,000 subs or something overall, and that's literally me sitting there doing one or two out and then back in loads and loads of times until it glitches.
I think I wrote it down. So your squad value was 78.1 million. You had 19.9 million in the bank. I think it was 720 transfers, maybe by game week 38. But yeah, are you worried at all that someone's going to try and find a negative point? So let's say, I don't know, Leeds are
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
Anfield and they buy a defender, and if they can just concede 4 goals and get booked, -1, any worries about that? Or are you going to just play as you are?
So I'm aware of that tactic because for 28 game weeks or something, me and one or two other people were neck and neck, and I was imagining a scenario where it's last day of the season, we're all on the same score. I was going to gamble, so I was going to
Yeah.
bring on like a Southampton defender and just gamble on them getting like a
Yeah.
red card or a yellow card and shipping a few goals.
Right.
Thankfully, I didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that is a massive worry. It is a huge risk though, and actually, it's hard enough just to make sure no player ever gets on the pitch. Like no one before
Yeah,
me
of
had ever
course.
done it. I hope that this video will inspire more people to try it. Hopefully, I'll never have to take that gamble. But if more people try it, then maybe that's something I'm going to have to do. It's very difficult to anticipate someone getting a red
Yeah.
card, but I reckon at some point next year, um, you know, Sunderland or someone might ship a lot of goals, and I can gamble on that.
Just thinking out loud as well, they've added this defensive contributions thing, and last season, lots of the really cheap defenders from terrible sides got lots of extra bonus points. I don't know if you've seen this new thing they've added. So like players like Bednarek would have got an extra, I think it's like 30 or so points because they constantly defend him. So yeah, even like that, if you have to go for a Hail Mary, imagine the suspense. Like it's 9 months and it's gone down to the wire, and you're going to have to just go for it and hope for some negative points. I can't imagine
This is the
that.
maddest thing because you put in so much work through the season. So every week you're doing research and making all the subs, and you know that all you need is one mistake and your
Yeah,
entire season is gone. Like, so the more the game weeks go on, the more tension is built because the more effort you've put
yeah,
into it. And if you even slip up once for 1 second of the game and a player gets subbed on that you weren't expecting to, your
yeah,
entire season, all those hours and weeks and months of work is gone. So the tension is incredible. I mean, I cannot tell you how nervous I was for the last game week of the season.
yeah.
The amount of research that I did, the number of times I just like checked my team to make sure that I'd done it. Uh, yeah, it was unbelievable.
It's the same stories you hear from the people that like like rank one, rank two, heading into game week 38. So I've got a screenshot of your game week 38 team as well, in fact, and then we'll have a look at your team for next season. So you actually made loads of changes. So there's lots of new players. You mentioned Lukaku, like you had him captain. Obviously he was gone, so he was safe. Gallagher, Gross, McTominay. Who else did you have? Hall, I think he was injured. Alvarez is obviously long gone by. Then Mosquera. it's, it's just
Yeah,
really hilarious to
Mosquera
look
got
at.
a big injury. I think he did an Achilles or something, which, was music to my ears. I tell you who else was a really loyal player because you have to
Yeah,
keep subbing players in and out. And there are times this season when not that many people were injured. Like Scott Carson did a serious job for me because you're pretty much guaranteed that even though he's not injured, he's
yeah,
never going to get on the pitch. Like
that's right.
City
Yeah.
would always play like an academy player over him, so he was quality for me as
You
well.
just never know, though, right? Because he's been there for years, and the City didn't have. Maybe they did have Champions League on the line. You just never know if someone like that could just get a cameo as a thank you. But yeah, luckily it didn't
Yeah,
happen.
I was worried that I can't remember exactly when it was expiring, but I even looked into his contract at one point. So I was like, if his contract's expiring this year, there's a chance that Pep might give him like 10 seconds at the end as like a farewell to the Man
Right.
City dressing room, the fans and stuff. Honestly, the things that were going through my mind drove me crazy. I'm looking at Scott Carson's contract.
That's unbelievable. Okay, well, let's finish up then. We'll have a look at how you're looking for game week 1 as it stands. It's just so funny because obviously when I'm talking to guests, they're talking about all this research they've done for players that have got a lot of potential this season. So you've gone with Hein in goal. Arsenal's, I guess he's like third keeper. Hang on, let me just zoom in on this. Elise, Chadi Riyad, Heldi, 09, Mudrik. I think you'll be safe from Mudrik. Kovacic, is he injured?
He's injured, yeah, or he's
Somerville.
injured. Injured or suspended. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yes, you got to be careful of that. Somerville, what's his story? Is he
Somerville.
injured?
A lot of these players are injured. Yeah.
Yeah. Dominguez, Edouard, Gabriel Jesus. And on the bench, you've got Martinez, Rob Holden, Cook, and Unal. So, yeah, Martinez, like, suspended for game week 1. So, I guess you're, like, really conscious of that. And this is going to be... You might even end up changing that position before the
Yes.
season
So
kicks off.
basically, pretty much all of these will be subbed out by the time of the first game week, and that's because between now and then, my notifications for Fabrizio are on. As soon as any Premier League player is mentioned and
Yeah.
the deal is done, I'm subbing them into this team.
Yeah.
So ideally, over the next few weeks, at least 14 out of this 16, in an ideal world, are replaced by players who will leave the database, and I'll then be left with like one or two, and then I can just sub them in and out every week. The reason why Edward and Holding are in there because I'm a Palace fan, so I a bit more like into that gossip, and I know that
Yeah.
Holding is going to go, and I know that
Yeah.
Edward is going to go, so they're two bankers instantly, and then for the rest of them, I'll just need to keep my eyes on Fabrizio's Twitter and be quick.
Brilliant. Sam, thank you so much for taking the time to chat. Best of luck with it all this season. I hope you lose. Obviously, that's the only time I can say that. That's the only time I can say that to someone and mean well. Yeah, cheers, Sam. Wish you all the best. Thanks for coming on the channel.
Thanks for having me. Just before I go, I might think about having another side team this year with a different theme. The couple of ones that I'm
Go on.
considering is firstly a short Kings 11,
Yeah.
so only players under 5'8", with the shortest keeper, of course. Another one I was thinking was the scandalous 11, so only players that have been involved in tabloid scandals. So
That's
obviously
brilliant. Yeah.
Kyle Walker will be my captain, of course. And any other ideas for fun themes to try?
Yeah.
Let me know.
If you
Stick a
got any
comment.
ideas, yeah, put them in the comments. Love it. It's creative. Sam, wish you all the best, mate.
Thanks, Oscar.